The Flower Garland Sutra, also known as the Avatamsaka Sutra. Homage to the original teacher, Sakyamuni Buddha. My dear children, have you ever sat quietly and asked yourself, why am I happy? Why am I sad? Why do I suffer and then long for peace? If we look closely, we will see our whole life drifts along in feelings. When the eyes see something beautiful, the mind immediately feels joy. When the ears hear criticism, the mind instantly stirs with anger. When the body touches a thorn, there is pain. When the tongue tastes sweetness, there is pleasure. In this way, a lifetime is pulled and bound by feelings, and we mistakenly think this is truly me. The Buddha taught, this human being is formed by the 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Among these, the first 3, form, feeling, and perception, are the closest and easiest to recognize, yet they are also the very roots that keep sentient beings revolving in birth and death. Today, I will guide you to look deeply into these 3 aggregates. To see clearly, if we are not mindful, we will live forever in ignorance. But if we contemplate with wisdom, then right within these 3 aggregates, we can return to the light of liberation. Part 1. The aggregate of form, the gateway of the body. The aggregate of form is this physical body made of the 4 great elements: earth, water, wind, and fire. This body depends on the 4 elements to exist and gradually gives rise to the 5 sense faculties: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. These 5 faculties are the gateways through which we contact the external world. The eye contacts visual forms. The ear contacts sounds. The nose contacts fragrances. The tongue contacts tastes. The body contacts sensations of hot and cold and hard and soft. Please note, the mind base, Namo, does not belong to the aggregate of form because it is not material. It belongs to the mind, standing closer to feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, the mental side of human beings. Therefore, the aggregate of form only refers to the physical body of the 4 great elements and the 5 material faculties, while the mind base belongs to the domain of the mind and will be related to the remaining aggregates. Part 2. The aggregate of feeling, the arising of sensations. The aggregate of feeling is all the sensations of happiness, sadness, pleasure, pain, like, and dislike that arise when the 5 faculties contact the 6 objects. For example, the eye sees a beautiful flower and feels delight. The ear hears a word of praise and feels joy. But if it hears criticism, immediately it feels hurt and angry. The tongue tastes delicious food and feels pleasure, but when it tastes bitterness, the face frowns. The body touches something soft and feels pleasant, but when it touches a thorn, it feels sharp pain. You see, children, all day long humans are pulled along by these streams of sensations. Those who do not know how to practice chase after them and are bound. Beginners in practice often mistakenly think they have mastery, but in fact, they are still subtly governed by feelings. The Buddha taught, feeling is not self. Feeling is not mine. Feeling does not belong to a self. Yet sentient beings cling tightly to feelings, mistaking them as themselves, and so suffering never ends. Part 3. The connection between feeling and perception. What is special is that feelings never stop at the present moment. They immediately leave an imprint in the mind. Every sensation that arises plants a seed into the storehouse consciousness, alaya vijnana.
For example, a word of praise not only makes us happy in that moment, but leaves behind a sweet memory. A word of blame not only causes sadness for a moment, but becomes a long-lasting wound. These imprints are stored and reproduced by the aggregate of perception. Perception takes those memories, paints them again, projects them outward, and makes us laugh and cry at shadows in our mind. Thus, if we stop at feeling, we are already bound. But when perception joins in, the bondage becomes even deeper. This is why beings continue to live in ignorance, drifting endlessly in the cycle of birth and death. Part 4. Leading into the aggregate of perception. My dear children, we have just explored the aggregate of form, the body of the 4 great elements, and the 5 material faculties, and the aggregate of feeling, the sensations that arise. From these sensations, memories begin to be imprinted, preparing to enter the aggregate of perception, the storehouse and recreator of images in the mind. In the next video, I will tell you about the aggregate of perception, how it turns life into a series of dreams, making us laugh and cry at shadows in our mind, without ever realizing the true reality. Homage to the original teacher, Sakyamuni Buddha.